Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis, and today I want to cover the empty tank on Master difficulty. Now, let me say this up front, this is not what I recommend farming, but I know there are some days you're like, hey, this is a day that I can work on exotics, maybe this is just what's available, maybe you're trying to check a triumph box, whatever it is, these are going to be my recommendations. And you guys know when I do these guides, I tend not to use my super, I tend not to use exotics either, but there are definitely going to be some recommendations that I have, even though I'm going to try not to use them. So, first, you got Champions, Barrier, and Overload. This is a Fallen Lost sector, except you do have a couple of Barrier Colossus. They're just kind of like mixed in as weird competition for whatever reason. And then Overload basically is going to be all captains. Burn is Solar, so we're going to definitely cover that in our Heavy. Now, the shields are Arc. Now, the thing to know about the shields, they are two captains, and they are basically facing off with one of the Barrier Colossus. Now, if you're patient enough, you don't even need to worry about the arc shields because those two eventually are probably going to kill each other. And if you focus on the arc shielded guys, the Barrier Colossus tends to focus on the Fallen until they're dead. Then he will turn to you and he's a bit more manageable then. But if you help the Barrier Colossus kill the Fallen, then it's a lot more manageable and you don't have to worry about arc damage anywhere else, basically. So you may as well kind of skip it. I just tested it. You can have some ups and downs with it, but honestly, the damage that you get everywhere else is probably worth it. So for loadout, I am going Barrier Auto Rifle. Pretty simple and straightforward. Unless you're using something like Ariana's Vow, you're probably going to need to be running Barrier Auto Rifle. And then Overload is Bow. I do like Overload bows just because it is really one shot and you're good. So not too bad. I've got my Biting Winds just because my energy slot, I'm using the Cryostor Melos. This is just kind of a current one that you can use. Any kinetic bow will do. You've got Biting Winds, which you can get from up in Europa. And then you've also got the Whispering Slab. It's the big one that looks like a giant rectangle bow. Either way, kinetic bow will do if you've got one. Now, if you want to switch this up, if you want to go auto rifle up here and bow down here, you also could do that. The only thing about that is you're not going to get quite as many shots with regards to your solar weapon with the burn. Now, I'm running Corsair's Wrath. This is a solar linear fusion rifle. It does pretty good damage, I'm not going to argue. But there are better. If you go to exotics and you want to run a couple of these, let me give you some pointers. Ariana's Vow. This is a really great way to hit barrier damage. So you don't need an auto rifle anymore. Probably run a different slot that way. You've got good chunk damage that you can do with a hand cannon that hits pretty hard, kind of like a sniper rifle. Overall, pretty solid. If you want to go exotic in the power slot, 1000 Voices is a beast if you have it. I do not. Still haven't ever got that one. But Sleeper, also going to be very good. Xenophage, I actually haven't pulled it out that much because machine guns are, kind of its thing. Xenophage got slowed down a tick. Still is going to hit very hard, so if you need to put damage out once you stun a champion, still should be able to do a lot of things, especially in the scale of these rooms, you'd be pretty effective. So overall, pretty good. But the linear fusion rifle bonus between the fusion bonus and the linear fusion bonus paired with particle accelerator, these two are still going to hit harder, and Sleeper hits like an absolute monster. So you're going to mess around with an exotic. This is probably one more people are going to have. 1000 Voices, you guys probably have seen that thing melts like crazy. I did just get my no backup plants. I'm not going to use it right now, but just proof I do. What I'm showing you guys does cover everything with regards to all the champions. Just make sure whatever you're running for a heavy, that you have your reserves covered and also scavenger and ammo finder, because you are going to kind of just need to be a little lucky on the heavy ammo because it does take about 3 to 4 shots with your heavy, at least with my linear fusion rifle, to take out a champion. So you're going to need a decent amount of ammo for it. One other thing I'll tell you guys, whether you go arc or whether you go solar, and honestly, I'm going to do solar this time just because it's going to be a little more on the viability side. The boss does solar damage, and a couple of the captains will also do solar damage. You're going to also have arc damage coming at you, but it's just a bit more manageable in a controlled circumstance. But the problem is the snipers are arc. So maybe you don't care about reserves and you want to put sniper damage on as well. You could do that as well and get some coverage on both ends. This is actually probably the most survivable build that you could throw into here. Don't really need concussive. You don't really need melee resistance. Solar from the boss, or arc if you don't have a solar build. And then snipers, those are going to be arc for sure, but definitely some sniper resistance. If you want to run this way for that, I'm going to go for reserves and just take the solar resistance. So that pretty much covers it. I also do run protective light. Not really going to be picking up a lot of that in here just because, you know, my loadout right now doesn't let me break too many shields, and there's not really a ton to break in here as it is. But if you do at least have some masterwork weapons, you might be picking up some orbs in a couple of places. So that should pretty much cover the loadout. Anti-barrier auto, overload bow. You've got ammo finders for your heavy and scavenger and reserves. And if you can find some way to get like charged with light, that'll give you protective light, might keep you alive. And then of course, I'm going solar damage resist, but honestly, arc damage resistance, which I was running on the previous run, also probably just as viable. So let's go inside, see how this goes, and I'll explain everything as we go through it. I will miss the nightclub. One thing I will tell you, whatever class you are running, make sure you have a decent solar grenade that you can kind of attach to this first guy, and maybe attach later on. I'm running bottom tree solar on this one. But the main thing is I'm running basically solar the whole way through to take advantage of the burn. You're going to have an overload captain right here, so pretty much what you're going to want to do is stun him. I throw a grenade just to get some extra damage. And linear fusion, shot 1, shot 2, and when he stands up, you should be able to kill him with 3. Now, you got a barrier champion out there. You can annoy him for a little bit. Now, if you can ever get him to pop his shield in a place where you can get some shots off, that's good. But honestly, I would probably thin some of these guys out first. So find any of the Vandals you can. Find any of the Dregs. Don't stand still for basically any longer than a second. Always be strafing in here. Because as I said, the snipers are going to hurt. And if you want to avoid getting picked off, I would advise it. You're also going to have some enemies in the back as well. So be careful about those. But if you can get the snipers early, that's going to be a good thing. Try to take out what you can. Now, if you thin out a few of these guys kind of in this area, now's a good time. If you can try and get a little bit of a focus on our champion here, get ready to break the shield with your auto rifle. And then now you're just going to want to go for the kill. And if I can get him to stand still for half a second. Now this one I'm going to go out and probably get myself killed. It's okay. Oh, if that barrier was that low, I want to make sure my linear fusion shots, as limited as they are, actually went to something. Alright, so see what else you can find for ads out there. Like I got a drag floating. Again, that overload champion, he is right around the corner, so just be careful. If you want to keep him like at bay every so often, just shoot him and stun him. If you're like, hey, I need to stun him, see who's available out here to kill. I got a Vandal out there. Try it again, make the most of these shots when you get them. Come on, peek your head out. And again, patience works. You'll eventually get him. Now, if you do kill enough ads, you will get a few more of these ads to pop out. You're going to have 2 more Vandals for sure. One over there, one usually over in this region. Watch for the 2 Vandal snipers in the back. Make sure they die. But if you can get that barrier early, stops a bunch of grenades coming at you and other things, then you really just focus on the ads. Now, that should be most of them. Make sure you're reloaded here. And just come out. Now, if you stagger him like that, honestly, I would just wait until he turns around. Because you don't want to get close enough. You got to be able to see him in the face to crit him. So give him a second. Same thing. He should have probably faded by now. This is where you want to make sure you can see his head. It's always what happens. He'll move his head as he's standing up, and I missed that 3rd shot. Can't tell you how many of those I've wasted. Now, solar auto rifle is going to hit pretty well. Got to find our guy. 1 and 1 more. Okay. Going to have an overload captain that pops out at the back over here. These stragglers are going to be sitting there. Now, when you open this, if you don't go too far up, you can put a little extra damage in. But after a little while, it's almost going to work as you're not in his vicinity, and he's almost going to reset and get his health back. So make sure you're reloaded. But you can start with just a couple shots back here, stun him, hang back, and usually what will happen for me is he'll stand about right there. Usually lets me shoot him enough, and if I get enough damage and he doesn't really stagger up, then now, hopefully, I can probably get a kill shot. There we go. Now I only had to fire 2 shots instead of, say, 3 or a miss in 4. If you can get some damage, but also know that if you hang back too long, too far, he might start running around and start regenerating his health. Even though you're constantly ticking him with that overload weapon, it still may trigger that health regeneration. Overloads are just so unreliable, so just be careful about your ammo on those. So I've got a heavy ammo finder here and an ammo brick down here. I have a full heavy ammo brick here, but that's 7. If I get 7 on my 20 max, I'm going to waste about half of that. So I'm going to hold that back there. You can always run back here and get more. It's not that bad. Next thing we'll do, you're going to want to trigger these guys. If you really want to trigger them, just pull out an auto rifle. They'll tend to wake up a little bit, or you got to run up a little. There we go. Just let them run at you, line them up, farm them. Maybe you'll get some ammo out of it. It's not a bad way to go. And you're going to have a few more ads on the other side. There should be, there we go, should be the war beasts. Also line these guys up pretty comfortably. There's probably one more. Yep, there he is. He's a little stuck. There we go. See if you got lucky on the ammo, and notice we got champions to appear. So there's a few around. Now, this is the part where I tell you, you have arc shields, but if you focus on the Fallen, you're not really going to need an arc weapon in here. So take a second and just focus them down. And notice, that champion doesn't care that I'm over here. But if you focus on the captain, who is arc, Vandals, who are shooting arc, and you focus on anybody... Now, if everybody dies... Okay, he's not supposed to melt me that fast, but FYI, he will absolutely just destroy you. So, not a flawless run, but that's okay. It's actually kind of funny. Yep, I'm going to leave my heavy ammo back there. So that's how fast they can melt you if he's in minigun mode. Just FYI, always good to have some moments of learning. I say that as I just get absolutely destroyed. I was probably a little low on health, but yeah, that was fast. But yeah, he hit solar. But from down here... You've got a little hump above you up here, and that's usually what I use to work these guys. So if he's on one side, you double jump, they're going to know you're in the room. Now, his little rockets that he's going to shoot out gets to be kind of interesting, but honestly, just use your auto rifle. If it's solar, it hits decently. You'll pop the charge, and if you do enough annoying damage to him, and by I mean annoying, just like plink, you'll typically just do enough, get him to pop his shield again. You can break the shield. Always make sure you have enough in your clip that you're not trying to reload mid-barrier break. Especially on Master, those windows are tiny. Tink, 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 tink. There we go. Now, when he dies, you're going to get more champions. You're going to overload a group and an overload on the left. Again, be ready. Keep being annoying so he doesn't start firing. If you kill him, come up over. Everything's going to come out on the left side. It should, at least. It might take a little bit of a delay, but your position's kind of important up here, so just hang tight. You'll usually see a champion is spawning in the bottom left corner. Now, if I have to just enter the room a little bit more, maybe that's it specifically. Might have to cross the threshold. There it is. You'll get some of these guys to come out. Try and shoot the exploders so they kill half of what's over there. You're going to have 2 Vandals, some exploders, a Shank, and the Overload Captain, which is really the last thing we'll go for. Just make sure no Overload... Make sure no Exploder Shanks are coming up over this little ridge to find you. They will kind of mess you up. Now, if you want to peek and see what's out here, you can start doing that. Again, I can sit here and take this guy down with some decent shots with my bow. Just kind of use this little ridge as almost like, not really a head glitch per se, but you can definitely put some damage in. At any point, if you want to just delete him, you absolutely can. But remember, you know, to see how fast his health came back? That's how fast you can ruin that, too. So if you just want to keep plinking away at the bow, just watch your health. Be aggressive. Get about, you know, make sure you always have a good, consistent number of shots in. Ow. The number of freaking tracer shots that he gets off is a little crazy sometimes. Try and enjoy the full health recovery that you might be able to get. Just keep strafing different sides up here. You can make this happen all with your bow. Don't have to waste as much linear fusion, which is going to be a good thing. Other side is going to spawn. This is going to be a whole bunch of war beasts. And then your barrier Colossus. So be careful about the barrier, especially his missile barrage. At first, depending on where he's at, just try and stay out of his line of sight. It's the biggest thing. Take out the war beasts. It's boring with an auto rifle, but it works. Now, champions down below. I can kind of see his little end trails up here at the top. So just make sure you got a little angle over here. Try not to let him go fully up. This guy's going to be more of the rocket launcher guy and the big blaster. Now try to hold on to your grenade. You're going to want that. And this is why you don't want to reload in the middle of a barrier shot, because they tend to get their health back. But again, solar auto rifle doing a lot more damage with this thing. Also have major spec on this thing, so it's putting some extra work in. Be annoying. Now, when this guy goes down, all that's going to open up. And your goal is to try and take out the barrier guys before pretty much anything else. It's not the easiest thing to do, but your goal is barrier first. So try and get yourself a little cover. And then go for the barriers as soon as you can. If one pops, go for the break. That's one. Same goal. Now, the issue is the boss is going to be on you like crazy. So it's trying to find a way to be mobile around the room, or you can try and get a little extra damage on the boss if you want to throw up some type of way to... And again, trying to break that shield. There we go. That's down. Now, this is probably where I would use a super, I'll be completely honest. If you have a super and you want to use it on the boss, that is 100% what I recommend, because the boss's solar shots hurt. Now is probably a good time to throw a grenade, see how many of these guys I can kill. If I can stagger the boss, if you do about half damage, he will retreat. You're also going to get some more adds. You're going to be looking for the tracers. And then again, if you get that second set of adds to come out, you want to be in cover. That's the key. If you get him below half health, you need to be in cover because those tracer shanks will take you out. He will sit in the back now. I can pretty much just finish this at this point. I've got an arrow sticking in his head. Be good if I could hit my shot. Wow, really? There we go. He's dead, and we're good. So that is the empty tank on master difficulty. And you don't even have to worry about the shield, because if you can just slowly... If you work the arc guys... Arc shielded falling down while the barrier guy's working on him too. You'll work together, get that one taken care of, and then you can just use as much solar weapons as you want. I doubt I'm going to get an exotic because I literally just got one last time. Let's get back to the surface and wrap this up. So that pretty much does wrap this one up. As you guys saw, the only shields that are arc, you really don't even have to mess with. So, you know, it's up to you if you want to have arc with you. But honestly, the burn being solar, the more solar items you have, the more damage you're going to output. For exotics, if you've got Thousand of Voices, if you've got Sleeper, if you've got Ariana's Vow, those are going to be beneficial. It's really up to you. Just know when it comes to the boss, when you get the boss down to about half health, he's going to move back to kind of where he was standing behind that shield wall in the first place. But when that happens, the snipers are going to come out. The sniper shanks are going to come out. So if it's possible, if you can run around the room like a crazy person like I was and take out at least, say, one of the barrier guys before you start putting damage into the boss, that'd be great. That's a good time to use grenades. If you got any melees that are powerful for taking out those other guys that are chasing you. And then if you really just have to, like, you know, go hard on the boss, that's a great time to pop your super, get enough damage out, and then send him to the other side of the room. Just be ready. If you, like, kind of do that half damage to him and he retreats, at that point, go straight after the barrier champions before those snipers come out. Try and be fast on either one of those, and that hopefully will help, because if the barriers are up and then the snipers come out, it gets to be a little bit kind of terrible, because that is a bad combination. But hopefully you guys found this video beneficial. If you did, please drop a like below. If you guys want to help support me, you can, you know, subscribe to the channel. If you have a certain loadout you like using for this Lost Sector, please drop that below in the comments. It's always a good way to help everybody out. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Ebontis. For streaming, you can find me twitch.tv/Ebontis or right here on YouTube. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and alert bell to know when I go live for streaming. And if you guys want to support me directly, you can join the channel as a member to get some exclusives for my channel. And also you can find me on Patreon. Thank you for everything. I will see you soon.